Hi folks, so it's time for some of those videos from my archives that I have promised you. I have a few recorded and that have never been published, and we had the voting in the friendly open server, and this was one of the most requested videos. So this is Winter at the Wall, a tournament that was played earlier in the year, so German nationals coming up this weekend, and this would be, I guess, good timing to publish this. It was actually a tournament that was played in person, and we were all waiting to see how the final finished between David and Lennart, and then turns out that they didn't play. The players just went for a drink instead and decided to play the final online a few days later, and I managed to record the game, and I can show you how it went. So we joined the game just after setup, and of course no setup for Lennart because he's playing Martell Knights of the Hollow Hill, and David on the other hand is playing Martell Mammer's Farce. And this was an interesting time in the game. So it was just before Martell Knights of the Hollow Hill became super dominant because the restricted list failed to nerf it. It was one of the strongest decks in the game at this point, but not crazy strong. And Martell Mammer's Farce was one of the top decks, for sure. So this was after Stalek, where a few of them made the cut, and before the restricted list put Summon Always Tells in a pod with Mammer's Farce, which means this strategy that David has to just cancel all the resets and keep the fools in play no longer possible. But at this point it was possible, and it is the plan here to counter the resets that Martell Hollow Hill, of course, always throws at you. And starting with a couple of fools, including the most important one, Shagwell, and he is duped, plus the Meadowlark, which can put something into play, already has a couple of tokens. And we have Summer Harvest into long plan here. Yeah, Venomous Blade is an annoying little attachment that can counter the fools. They all have very low printed strength, and if you can do it every round, eventually you will be killing stuff. Yeah, just checking that Meadowlark already has 2 tokens from Behest and the new plot, so can already put in something like Patchface if it wants to. And what does the long plan do? So usually you don't want to spend everything, even though it is decent gold. You want to keep some and then go into one of the resets. Here is Venomous Blade. I find that Martell Hollow Hill decks always tend to play one copy of this and get it every single time. Of course they draw most of their deck because they have so much draw in it, but yeah, they get it when they need it, and it's already going to cause problems. Now what does it do exactly? Does it kill one of them, or does it start to target Shagwell, who is really the big one, who spreads keywords around? Yeah, that's what it does. There are 2 ways to win, of course. You have the Princess plan, and you have Ricasso, you can boost some strength and then go into Duran's game in the late game. But also you do Mass Renown with Shagwell and the Fools, so probably need both, or can you win with one or the other? I guess we'll have to find out. And yeah, I was saying long plan into a reset, and we don't know exactly what the resets are here. They have options, of course. They have For Snow, they have the Stranger, they have Morgulis, that one is always in, I think. Doharis, there is always bound to be March to the Wall as well in the deck. Mad King's Command they played at the Worlds, which was interesting, I thought. And at this point the restricted list for Hollow Hill, I think, is Exchange is stopped from being played with Secret Schemes, so the draw is not that crazy. So giving Dontos the intrigue icon and putting him in an intrigue challenge. Okay, that's going to be insight on both of them now, because they all have gold on them and they share keywords. Yeah, doesn't want to kill the Grimblood Trader particularly, because then the Venomous Blade is recycled. And I think possibly Lennart might just play Marched, or could play the Stranger if it's still alive there. And then the Venomous Blade happens anyway. Oh, and hits the cancel. Well, that hurts. Vengeance, okay. Scapped 2 gold now. For the long plan, so it's not a massive round. If he goes into the Stranger, he would have, yeah, 7 gold. It's still something though. Now do you do power for the insight, and of course the full gains the card on it. Yeah, doesn't really particularly want to do that. Just takes dominance instead. Unless something else, no. And now can you keep them alive? Because if the Stranger is played, it kills everyone. One of the players selects cost 3, the other cost 2. And David has a plan, so if you want to know about this deck, okay, we have a Lay Waste. That can bring in economy at least, right? Is there a 0 cost economy in the deck? There is, okay. Yeah, I could have brought in a dupe of Shagwell maybe, but he could have triggered that earlier. If you want to know about David's deck, we did an episode for the Friendly Council, and I actually never played the casual games online with it because the restricted list got us and couldn't play this version. I might still play an updated version at some point, but it's not going to be as efficient because it doesn't have access to all the reset cancel. But you can see that the plan is this. You gain some gold in the taxation phase with Indran's name, or with plots if you play stuff like calling the banners, and then you play Someone Always Tells on resets and they all stay in play. They gain so much cards on them, give you access to basically your entire deck, and yeah, then you have Mass Renown and you have the Princess Plan, so it's difficult to stop. And calling the banners, okay, just wants the 2 gold. Lots of investment to get that. Has to go first now to be able to gain the gold if it's needed. So triggers Behest first. Even if you go into the Stranger here, you can then trigger calling the banners before and still gain the gold for the cancel. But what does Lennart do? Because if his plan is to reset, now is a round, of course, where it won't work if there is a cancel in hand, and it could just be a giant bluff as well. And it's marched, okay. Now you can get calling the banners first before you go down to 0 characters, and now do you cancel that or not? Because it's not the big one to cancel, but the problem is that another character will come in with the Venomous Blade and kill Shagwell, right? If you don't dupe him. Okay, that should help. Only one gold for Lennart now, carried through the princess plan, the long plan, because he also played lay waste. Okay, just an empty begging brother. Could still play Unbridled Generosity at some point. Doesn't look great though, right? Because there is gold to put in one of those Greenblood Traders or something again with Venomous Blade. Play that on Shagwell. Get another couple of icons. Start competing on the board. Military icon as well. And one princess plan I believe is in the discard pile now, so any challenge that David loses he can take that back. Yeah, that's Shagwell gone. And keeps 5 gold, and we know there is ambush in Martell for 5. You can get Dornish Spice, you can get Shadow City Bastard, Areo Hotach you can get. And events like Vengeance. It's a very good play last round. Now what happens here? Do you just go military now with Ontos? Kneel him, get a card on him, but recycle the Venomous Blade at the same time. And if it defends itself, the escort, you grab the Princess Plan back. And cards for Dorn. Could go Intrigue first with the Begging Brother. But first comes the ambush. Okay, takes the military icon, which makes sense. He is protected at the moment and will survive at least another round. So you don't want to give him a chance to kneel and grab a card for the agenda. And Begging Brother does an Intrigue challenge, which possibly could be left here. Yeah. Hits the escort. Never the card you want to hit, because it keeps coming back. And well, one good thing, even though that Venomous Blade has started immediately, one good thing is that David here has Dorn and Lennart doesn't, so he has card advantage, which is a rare thing to see against Martell Knights of the Hollow Hill. As long as that's the case and those 3 cards in hand cannot really win the game on their own, right? So now I think Lennart will be forced into some kind of draw plot or a secret schemes. I don't know exactly what his deck includes, and my memory of all the restricted lists of course is not perfect, but I think secret schemes and exchange are both restricted at this point, so can't play them both. And they are now as well, right? But there was a period for online worlds during which you could play both. That's where this deck got crazy. Okay, stops the claim with Burning on the Sand and takes the event back. Yeah, didn't really want claim, he wants that dupe on Ontos to stay. Now he is protected against Marched and against Stranger or Morgulis, and loses the Princess plan again. He can grab it back, although, yeah, already has. Next round he'll have +3 from it. Close game. And coppers for both. David has to go first this time. I doubt there are more than there is more than one Venomous Blade. Is it just the patch face? It's a little weak on the economy, right? Previously there was Meadowlark and that was traded for a Rose Road. That's the only econ really apart from Water Gardens that David has. Would be nice to get another little body. Okay, and has Doran's name. Very useful. Yeah, the costs don't work out perfectly because if the Stranger is available, then it's just going to take them all. So some dupes would be nice. And we have Secret Schemes on the other side. And here we go, right from those 3 cards in hand, now 10 cards in hand. And all the econ setup. So here is where the game gets difficult for David. Well, anything else? Is he going to play on the board at all with additional characters? No, the Fools do have stealth. Actually, no, they do not. Penny doesn't have stealth. There's nothing in shadows. So they have nothing at the moment, really. Now what is this doing? Just paying for the Princess plan. Yeah, is he going to avoid military now for the rest of the game? Just go in intrigue and power. Okay, he's trying to win by 5. The runs game gets 3, I think, at this point, right? Is there any other win by 5 effect? And does Lennart want to defend against it? With 5 gold and 7 cards in hand, might have a chance. Okay, doesn't bother. Also, they have hands judgments always, these decks. But on this occasion either doesn't have it or doesn't care about the Duran's game. It's power on the faction card, where it matters the most, and it is a game with a time limit. And then gets Vengeance. That in Duran's name would have helped a lot, I think, with the lack of econ. Especially if he grabs another card or two for Dorn here. Doesn't bother with the power challenge. I wonder why. If it was defended, gives you card for Dorn, right? And Penny cannot win on defense. And the Princess plan keeps going. Yeah, next round Duran's game would be 4, but still not that dangerous. Doesn't get him towards victory. And is there a chance to defend this? There isn't. So I wonder why he didn't just attack and force the escort to win on defense, or to leave it unopposed and then attack back and you'd get 2 cards for Dorn. Maybe doesn't want to play into annoying effects like his Viper Eyes possibly. Well, they get the cards. Now do they stay alive? I think there's Littlefinger's meddling as well, if you really want to play someone always tells. So now he doesn't have that many cards in hand. Annals, I think, is in the deck, but you need Bloodface Gold. Okay. Into Morgulis, and only Dontos is duped. And this time can't really stop it. All 3 in Duran's name are there, so you can play it this time in taxation to get gold. And then you have a cancel next round possibly if you have it in hand, but yeah, Lennart has been patient and he's waited for this opportunity to play Morgulis when it can't be stopped, it seems. And Patchface and Penny, of course, are unique. I don't think David plays 3 copies of most of the fools, so he won't get that many dead draws, but he'll get some, probably. And the cards are gone now. Now what were the cards under the fools? Can't check now because, of course, I'm commentating half a year later, so hope I clicked on the Discord pile at some point. Another copy of Patchface we can see on top. And another Secret Schemes, of course, from the Discord pile. Gives him all the cards in the world. Not all the gold in the world, but there is some. This, of course, comes back. And does he want to leave himself some gold? He has Vengeance for Elia in the discard pile. He's played it twice already. Yeah. Doesn't mind using that. Now David, on the other hand, does probably mind using the Prince's Plan here. Doesn't want that to be removed from the game. Now what can he do? He can play in Duran's name if he likes. For the gold. We'll give him 4 more, but what does he have in hand to spend it on? And the card on Dontus, of course. So he has to spend that before he dies. Okay. Oh, he's played Unbridled Generosity on Ricasa when he was face down. Did I see that correctly? Yeah, you can't bestow Ricasa if you play him when he's a face down attachment, because bestow triggers when he enters play. So that's the worst card to get as a face down attachment. But you can play Unbridled on him. He could have played that when Ricasa was in play and not when he was face down, but I guess then it would have been more obvious, and if there was a hand's judgment, maybe more inviting to cancel that. That's slightly unfortunate because playing Ricasa from hand and bestowing a bunch on him would have given him more used plots, but I don't know. Does he need more than 5? Is Duran's game the only thing? Okay, the Prince's Plan can get even crazier, but I guess Duran's game is the main one, and now he has 5. So can win if he plays 2 of them. One is in the discard pile, and winning in 3x5 against this Hollow Hill deck could be tricky, because they can play around so much stuff. So he's going to try it here. And it's not super urgent to defend this particular one. It doesn't lose the game. However, it does get David within 1 Duran's game of victory. So you could leave it, play your Vengeance for Elia. Yeah, decisions. It's going to reduce the cost of Vengeance, I think. There's 4 more gold. There's bound to be some kind of Dornish Spy there as well. But now that he's used Water Gardens, timing doesn't work out perfectly, I think. So has to let the Intrigue Claim go through first. Can't cancel it now though, because it eats up the gold. Well, you can still for 0, but then you have to pay for Vengeance. Here we go. Now do we have a chain of cancels? Saban always tells, of course, is also in the discard pile, right? Goes through. That's 12. If they had renown, they would win, but they don't. And I think that possibly ends David's round. Okay, unopposed. And well, now we have cancelled Threat, Vengeance, and Summon Always Tells. And the second Vengeance. And this time it hits. And what's the card that is discarded for claim now? Is it that Patchface? Which is good because he's dead already. And all of that has spent Lennart's entire gold now. So the only thing he can do is pass. Could have taken, I guess, unopposed military, but doesn't want to be Dorn because David is out of cards. Needs one good challenge though to be able to win the game. But look at the difference now in hand sizes. He can play another in Doran's name, I believe, in taxation, but doesn't himself have secret schemes. And yeah, Lennart has played really well against Dorn. Not really feeding him much so far. Okay, at some point he's going to have to win the game though. And to do that you need to do power challenges. And not that easy because the Princess plan is in circulation. Now is the stranger in the deck? He did have his Viper Eyes when I mentioned it earlier. Has a challenge even been done that wasn't intrigue here from Lemming? I think he's pretty much concentrated on that. And here comes the gold. Okay, and he does have a hand's judgment for that. Well, cancels that, but he's not going to cancel something else. Which I don't know, with the gold that Lemming currently has, I don't know what he would prefer. Because he's not going to be able to marshal anything, and if there is a reset, his board will be pretty weak here. Two plots left for both players. They both played Behest at some point. And I believe David still has a reset, should be in the Harris in the deck, which he could just spend here. It's not going to matter. The last one, is it Littlefinger's Meddling? Possibly. And Lennart has another reset, either the Stranger or the Harris for sure. Then I would suggest another draw plot. Usually would be the thing to do. If you're playing 1 coppers, you can play 2. I don't think you have double marched in this deck. It's a bit much. $19 minutes left, but plenty of time. Still for both players to win, I think. The key for Lennart to win, of course, is to eventually be able to play against an empty board where there is no resistance. And he does have the Stranger, which is a perfect plot. But now what do you do? If you are David here, you can manipulate it a little bit by going first and triggering the Harris first. I mean, you could not keep anyone and then it fizzles. But then Lennart gets to keep the the bastard daughter, which I guess is fine because she has that blade on her. Or do you keep all of them and then either Jingle Bell or the Three Costers survive? I guess Jingle Bell. Okay, he's just going to let Lennart decide. Looks like it's neither situation is really better than the other, so okay. Lennart's just going to kill Ricasso while he has the chance. And now if he has Someone Always Tells in hand, that cancel on Induran's name was important, because this was a plot you would potentially want to cancel. Well, Jingle Bell is there and he has the Prince's plan to give him the icons, defend himself. And that's a third Secret Schemes. It's drawing again, crazy numbers, 5 cards. Not like he didn't have the cards anyway, but now he pretty much has anything he wants. And Blade coming back, right? And now it's possibly on her. She can always replace herself, so it's not going to be stuck. Dupe of Thorn. Not the card he needs. Card in Shadows could be Penny, which again is not great. And what's going on now? Okay, seized, yeah, it's supposed to go on the throne, not on Rihanna Martell. And cancel for Jingle Bell Search, but he had the gold to pay. And he grabs a Jester, but nothing in play now. I think he marshaled... did he marshal Seized from underneath Jingle Bell? So you can't actually bestow that if you do that. I think the Iron Throne lets you, but there was some confusion when these Mummers decks were really popular at Stalek, and later on as well, bestowing cards if you marshal them when they were face down attachments. So they were already in place, so bestow doesn't trigger then. And any enter play abilities, so for instance if you had Aegon Targaryen underneath a Fool and you marshal him, you can't then do the search. Okay, so Nightmares on Rihanna, she stays in play and it's not going to put in another icon. And finally gets to draw a card for Dorn. Now, I wonder what is in Shadows. Is there another card other than Penny? Because I think Penny was killed, right? Or is she still alive? But there is now Ambush anyway with the Spy and hits Ricasso, who is already dead. Yeah, could have gone first and triggered Duharis first that round, kept Ricasso alive. Now the plots are going back to 0, but it's a body that is not in the dead pile at least. And now we'll see. So Lennart could do really with another Coppers. Well, he has so many cards, but doesn't particularly want March to the Wall. And on the other side, I don't know, I seem to remember that Little Fingers Meddling was a thing, but we'll see. $11-10 now, and that Doran's game that wins not coming. He was up to 12 or 13 at the most, right? And here we go. That's played for the 4th time now, and it draws 5 again. After checking reserve, of course, so. And it's coppers against the smith. Alright, okay. Now that there's no fools in place and nothing to kneel, but the only locations to kneel really are the econ locations. And another copper. 17 cards left in hand. It's drawn almost everything. It's outdrawn the mummers even. Begging brother comes with some gold. Can cancel Ariane Martell, I guess, for what that's worth. But now the gold just spam some characters, right? This is what they do in the late game. Okay, they don't play that many. We've seen as low as 22 in some decks. But in the late game, when there is no more resistance, they just play out all the icons, and then they will play 3 challenges which you cannot defend, and that's where they get ahead and win the game. Okay, and Starfall, just to make sure he doesn't have either intrigue or power, although this time Lemming can intercept. He has 1 attachment to kneel. Has water gardens for 0, so can't even reduce the cost of Princess Plan. And Begging Brother on Lennart's side is bigger. So yeah, it's going to take the icons. We'll have a cancel fast possibly. And now if they win 3 challenges unopposed, and the power claim, that's 14. It's not 15, and the throne is turned off. But Ariane Martell can replace herself, right, to bring in something with higher strength, and that would end the game. Well, provisionally, they're still Dorn to draw cards. Was a decent effort, to be fair, from Lemming, and if he had at least Shagwell survive a little bit more. If the Venomous Blade came a bit later, we saw all the draws, so eventually it would come, but at least if it gave him, let's say, 2 rounds without the fools dying so easily, he would have had a better chance to get to 15. Although Shagwell couldn't really spread renown around, there's nothing here. There is the Tattered Prince, I think, in the deck. Maybe 1 copy on his side that can gain renown. Usually he can steal some keywords from opponents. If you play against Greyjoy, of course, there's going to be something. But not against this Martell reset control deck. That is really not strong at all on the keywords. And now let's see if Ariane Martell can win dominance. Or are we going into another round? She can win dominance, okay. Tries to cancel it, and there's cancel for the cancel. Of course there is, because there's 11 cards in hand. And that's it. Lennart takes it. Yeah. I think we saw especially what the Martell Knights of the Hollow Hill deck can do. And the fact that the next restricted list after this, so this was played at the end of February, I believe. The next restricted list before Worlds actually made it easier for them by allowing them to play Exchange of Information again with Secret Schemes. That's a bit of a travesty really, because it was already one of the strongest decks. And we saw a little bit of what the Mummers can do, but not really. And there wasn't really any cancel for the plots, even though David tried his best, it was all blocked. And also, he played Duran's game, but not the Renown on the Fools. So yeah, that's one from the archives, and a few more videos to come in the next weeks and months, I guess, when I publish those that got the most votes. So thank you for watching this one with me, and see you all next time.